Welcome to the With You Rugby podcast, designed to give you an in-depth look at the United States Rugby Foundation, including our grant programs and recipients, fundraisers, events, and much more. Now let's get started.
Hello and welcome again to another With You podcast presented by the US Rugby Foundation. I'm John Hinken, President and CEO of the US Rugby Foundation. And as we do every summer, we want to get to know our Hall of Fame class a little bit better. This year, a very special guest and a personal friend of mine in the class of 2025, Jillion Potter, is our guest, and we will get to know her a little bit better over the next 30 to 45 minutes. Jillion has made great decisions her whole life, including picking rugby as her sport. And another great decision is this year being a 2025 Hall of Fame member, because this year, that weekend is going to be phenomenal. It's July 17th. The Thursday is the 50th anniversary of USA Rugby. Friday the 18th, the Hall of Fame presented by Major League Rugby. And then the 19th, a doubleheader, England playing the men, Fiji playing the women. The eyes of America will be in Washington, D.C. The eyes of the world will be in Washington, D.C. And I would like to welcome Jillion Potter to the program. Hey, Jillion.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me. What a privilege.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, as I've said off air, you're one of my very favorite people in the world, and I love getting to talk to you anytime, anywhere. You're always a joy. But boy, your career in rugby, it came almost out of nowhere back in New Mexico. Yeah. So let's start a little bit before that, but then we'll get to that part of the trajectory where it goes from here to what? So, yeah. You were always a great athlete. I mean, I'm just going to say that. What sports did you play growing up? Where did you grow up? How did you get into sports?
Yeah, I'm from Austin, Texas, and I predominantly skateboarded my whole life.
Sweet.
And found basketball when I was in 7th grade and continued that through high school until college, where I found rugby. So I grew up mostly with my twin brother, our friends. We would play outside, roughhouse, just be kids. And I think that's where my physicality comes from.
Yeah.
And besides that, I mean, there wasn't really much organized sports involvement beyond skating and basketball until college.
Sweet. You're a boy-girl twin?
Yeah.
I'm a boy-girl twin.
No way!
Way! How about that?
That's amazing.
Although my twin sister isn't as physical. Sorry. No, that's right. Totally cool. So skateboarding, obviously, I grew up in California, so skateboarding was all over the place here. How big was it in Texas?
I think I was probably me and less than a handful of kids. I started in my backyard. My stepbrother was into it, and I kind of wanted to do everything the boys did.
Did you have a ramp?
We mostly did street. So
there you go.
Jumping off stairs, hitting rails, picnic tables.
Making all the old people angry.
I was pretty good. Yes. Get off the property.
They give you. We called that the mean German where we were growing up. Oh, hilarious.
Yeah, my son and I, because I mostly grew up doing street skating, my son and I recently did some vert skateboarding lessons, and that was fun as a 38-year-old.
Yeah. My son went out to a skate party as you do. And yeah, I tried to drop in and I didn't kill myself, but that drop it seemed a whole lot bigger when you're older than it does when you were young. So skateboarding, your natural balance, that was good then. And then you brought that into sports with basketball. You were probably, pretty quick. Were you point guard? I mean, that's kind of where, or power forward. Those are the two positions I put you in my head. What
that's really kind. Yeah, I would say power forward or post position.
There you go. And, the passing and the vision that you had in the game, that probably translated well to rugby.
Yeah, I think catching the ball, right? Like that's probably the easiest one, pass and catch.
There you go. There you go. And finding the open person as well.
It's
Something you
true.
did more than a few times. Okay. So did you play those in high school? Basketball in high school?
I did. Yeah, I made the varsity team as a freshman,
Sweet.
and I mean, basketball was it until
Yeah,
I found rugby. You know, it was my love, and then obviously, no.
obviously. So did was New Mexico part of a basketball trajectory or academic trajectory? What made you chose the Lobo?
Well, I had a free academic scholarship there,
There you go.
and that was it. Paid college for 5 years, and yes, please, I'll absolutely take that. Found rugby during my first week at freshman orientation, and I had three different women approach me at different times, and the first couple of responses, I was like, no way. I had never even heard of the game before. And by the third time, I was like, all right, I'll come out. It was fitness and tackling, and I was like, I'm in.
So that's freshman week. It's when all the clubs are out and you're kind of walking around. What attracted the rugby players to you? Did they just see this natural strut of an athlete walking through campus, or what? What was it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I walk with confidence. I think as when I became team captain at UNM and you had to actively recruit, I was always looking for women that possessed a great presence,
Yeah,
could walk confidently, was in the weight room,
yeah,
right? Anyone that wore sweatpants. I mean, just ask anyone to play rugby. But I imagine because of my height and my walk or something, they were like, you should
yeah.
play.
There you go. Yeah, I again, you never missed a gym session, as far as I know. So,
But I didn't start lifting until college. I was a buck 35 when I started playing rugby.
oh,
Um, yeah, and then in my career, gained 50 pounds of muscle, and
yeah.
there you go.
There you go. So that was 2005. Um, and then, suddenly you're being recognized at a much higher level. So talk us through that. This is where the trajectory starts going like this. Most normal people are this, and you were this. So how did that all come about? Was your coach saying, "Hey, I have found gold," and telling everybody about it, or talk to me there?
Basically, yeah. I mean, Shannon Robinson was the coach of the college program, and he was pretty relentless. And after about 3 months of playing rugby, he called Carl Barth up, who was the coach of the U19 program at the time,
Okay.
and I think probably called him every day to the point where Carl was like, I guess, like, I just want you to stop calling me, so I'll invite this girl to camp. And there were some caveats, right? Like it was in Texas, and so because I was the last one to join, I had to stay with my sister. I had to eat lunch in the athletic training room, just like random things, but very much like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, just
Yeah.
show up, smile, do what they say,
Yeah.
and made the U19 team within 3 months of playing.
That
And to
is,
be honest, I was probably a little bit crazy, right? Like
well, we
the way
all
that
are.
I tackled and the way that like I grew up in rough house and things like that. I didn't
Right.
have any problem creating some impact.
No, no, we were all, none of us, I think, would be considered normal.
That's true.
But there you go. I'm glad the abnormality stood out. So,
Me too.
yeah,
Yeah.
you make the U19 team. Wow. I mean, do you expect to make teams when you try out for them?
Well, I didn't really know what I was trying out for, to be
Okay.
honest. Like
Yeah.
Shannon was like, go to this camp. You're going to need to go and do the best you can. And I remember we were talking strategy about the rugby game or the game that we were about to play.
Yeah.
And the coach was talking about the 22-meter line. I didn't know the lines on the field. Like, I had to ask the woman next to me. I was like, "What is he talking about? Like, what is the 22?" And then she
Yeah.
pointed to the line on the field, and I was like, "Oh." So from here behind and in front. Oh, okay, okay, I can remember that.
Doing quick math. Okay. So is that the 78?
Yeah, seriously. And then from there, I played like that summer with the U19 teams and was scouted by the U23 coaching staff at the time, Barb Fugate and Martha Danes,
Yeah.
and got picked up through their team as well.
So how old are you right now then? So you're playing the U19s, so you're U19. How are you 18?
Yeah, 19,
19?
18,
Okay, so you were
19.
just on that cusp.
Yeah.
Um, and then suddenly you're on the U23s.
Right, I know. Unbelievable.
All right. So what happens there?
Oh gosh, I mean, the way that Barb and Martha coached was so influential in my career and in my life. And I think my first U23 tour was in Edmonton, Canada. And we were going twice a day, hard. It was raining and cold. And
Yeah.
I swear we had tackle practice, every day for hours. All I remember, it was very hard. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, if this is what this is like I'm gonna have to go home and train harder and lift more and be better. And certainly my teammates and my coaching staff inspired me to do that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. You had two total studs coaching you
It's
at
true.
that point. So that works out. So you're 20 on the U23s. Um, you went to Canada. How many tours did the U23s get to back then? Was there a lot of touring at that age?
No, not
Yeah.
really. I think I went to Edmonton, and then if my memory serves me correct, New Zealand in 2007.
Okay.
And then from there, I got picked up by Kathy Flores on the women's national team.
There you go. So are you 21 when you get picked up? Is that the
Gosh,
it was
yeah,
about then?
about then I think my first camp was in 2006.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was the youngest player
Yeah.
invited.
That's
Not
amazing.
anymore, right? Now we have
No.
some super young kids marking it out, but at the time, it was a big deal, I suppose.
No, it's always a big deal when they're first on any list. They can't take that away. You were the youngest going in. Boom, done.
Yeah, it
So
was brutal.
yeah, you Kathy is a tough one to impress. How did you fare? Did anybody? I like to ask this question because it's happened to me. I think it's happened to everyone. You go into these. Now you're at the camp. You're with the team. Did anyone take you under their wings and kind of show you the ropes? And you know, you're playing the number 8 position. Is that where they had you slotted in first? Because that's a position that takes a lot of experience too. So how did all of that as a 21-year-old get thrown at, who hasn't had a lot of rugby experience, get thrown at you?
Well, I first came on the scene as a number 7,
All right.
and then I remember Barb and Martha were like, "We're gonna move you to number 8." And I hated it. I was like, I don't want to be. Is it too much thinking? Like too much responsibility.
Yeah. There you go.
But I fell in love with the position. When I got to the women's national team, I played lock. I played number 4, number 6, and occasionally number 8.
There you go. So
Yeah.
less thinking, more hitting.
But I mean, I had to get that skill set, right?
Yeah. No.
So the more I played number 8, it definitely gave me and opened doors for me to play sevens and to advance my career.
Yeah, and you had also an incredible sevens career. We'll certainly be getting to that, but it's that thinking aspect. That it's great that you played multiple positions in the game because you can see things from multiple angles, and then that just makes you a better overall player.
Yeah, and it's fun, right? It's fun playing
Yeah,
multiple positions.
right. So you're in 21 caps with the Eagles. Awesome career. Um, you did a lot of touring with the Eagles. Was there one particular tour that stood out for you, and why?
Oh man, I mean, probably the hardest tour was in 2000 and was it 2010? No, actually, it was in 2007. It was my first cap,
With
and
the Canada for the nations, or
it was in England, and
okay,
I think we played, gosh, I wish I really remember the name, but it was like a regional England team that had retired
okay,
Red Roses, and they had more caps than like all of us combined times 10, right? Like, and they destroyed us. And I remember I had just broken my finger a week ago, and like that's what it is. It just doesn't straighten.
I gotcha.
So I had that taped up. I was playing lock. I had a bloody nose and two black eyes that game. Like it was so hard. On top of that, like when your parents were like, we had to walk a mile uphill both ways.
Right, right.
That was that tour. Like
Yeah,
we had to walk a mile to the pitch and then a mile uphill back.
just to get beat.
Yes, yes. And then you had a whole breakfast of eggs and baked beans for days on end. I mean,
Oh yes, yes. Tours to England, the famous breakfast.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
Complimented by dry white toast.
Yes,
There we
indeed.
go.
No butter.
No, no,
No
no,
butter.
dry, please. There you go. That's where they really got you.
Yeah.
You mentioned black eyes. You mentioned broken fingers. You mentioned all this. You've had an unfortunate history of breaking things.
Oh
So
gosh.
yeah, I have to bring it up because it's so part of your story. I apologize, but then you break your neck. Who
I
does
know,
that?
isn't that wild? I mean, talk about the uncommon. I think,
Who does this?
yeah, it was in a test match right before the 2010 World Cup against Canada, and I had tackled the player, poached the ball. The ball had moved away, and I mean, the play was somewhere else on the field. Um, what I remember is kind of looking up and then getting hit by two Canadians. They probably thought we still had the ball close by the rock. Um, I'm not sure, but we were
Yeah.
playing on turf at the time, and they landed on top of my head and
Oh,
neck and created a hyperflexion.
oh,
So yeah, my neck popped about 1,000 times. Luckily, Jamie Burke was by my side and stabilized my neck until my trainers could get to the field.
oh! Wow! What a scary moment. But
Oh my gosh.
because you hear that, yeah.
Oh yeah, oh
Oh
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
luckily I can move my limbs, I can move my
Okay.
arms, move my legs. I ended up walking off the field that day.
Wow.
Yeah, and then just kind of going to the ER from there.
But that's a setback.
It was.
And
It was a setback. And everyone was like, you'll never play rugby again. You shouldn't play rugby. That's insane.
right.
And I was like, listen, this doesn't happen that often. Like,
No.
I'm going to get back. And I had the right support team around me. I have a great physical therapist, Amy Valenta, who has been
Oh
my
yeah.
physical therapist since I was 19, got me through my broken neck and many bouts with cancer. So she's a rock star, and highly recommend if you need PT.
If you break your neck, I mean, I think that's her tagline. If you break your neck, I'm your girl.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah, she's a rock star.
so that was that 2010 when that incident happened.
Yeah, 2010.
So
Pretty devastating, right? Couldn't make it to the World Cup, and
ah,
um, yeah,
I
had
mean,
to stay home.
everything you aim for as an athlete, World Cup, yeah. Oh, but
Yeah.
you come storming back, and you did it in sevens. Did you play sevens before you played your next 15s match for the U.S.?
Basically, my first U.S. camp back was a combined U.S. sevens and 15s camp.
Oh wow,
And I remember it was in 2012. So I think
yeah.
I played for Glendale in 2011. So just a year, a little over a year after I broke my neck. Played the season there, and then in early 2012, heard the announcement about the Olympic sevens program, and then got invited to the combined camp. And I thought, like, I'm just going to email the sevens coach. Like, I'm going to see what's up. And I gave him a little background, like, hey, I'm coming back from a neck injury, but we really like the opportunity to step into this game and explore it a little bit. And luckily for me, I went to both sevens and 15s. The sevens session that I did go to was fitness and tackling. So Again, it was just one of those wonderful universal things that
Right, right.
allowed Rick Sargent at the time to say, "Hey, you've got something." So,
Yeah. No, so were you playing club ball at this point, and that's kind of how you were training your way back to the national teams?
hmm
Which club?
Glendale Raptors.
There you go. Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Um, how much fun is club ball versus club ball is different than national team ball. What are some highlights with club ball versus national team ball that you've got? I mean, you make friends everywhere you go.
Right.
What's the big difference for you?
I mean, I think there's not much of a difference. Obviously, the level of play across the board is going to be different, but the camaraderie, the willingness of players to step in and do more. And at the time, the Glendale Raptors were pretty stacked, right?
Yeah,
We had a lot of USA players, people that would be doing your extra fitness sessions and there to root you on. So, um, really, at the end of the day, the players that played alongside me in club, the players that played alongside me on the USA team, those are the players that inspired me and continue to do so. So,
so, I mean, besides Amy, it was a great thing that you were with Glendale because that helps you get back from your injury quicker, you think?
oh yeah, and like I've always wanted to move to Denver. Like it was a big mecca at the time. I remember
Yeah,
it was the first dedicated rugby stadium, and that was really exciting. I wanted to be out there,
yeah,
and it was a big. I would say prior to the Glendale Raptors, I played for the Minnesota Valkyries for a couple years before breaking my neck, and then moved down to Denver, which was closer to Albuquerque, where my mom was.
did you
So
also play for Barb up in Minnesota?
yeah.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
why I picked Minnesota. I was like, listen, I'm going there to train for the World Cup, and I believe that they're the people that can make me better to make the team.
Now that great choice. Great choice. So your Sevens Eagles career was that a bigger focus to get ready for the Olympics then? 12 to 16, or were you just playing wherever you wanted, wherever you could play?
I was contracted. I was one of the first 8 contracts
Yes, you
awarded,
were.
and then moved to San Diego and trained at the OTC full
Yeah,
time. And that's what I did, right? Like I was really fortunate that most of my sevens career was based in a localized training environment with the USA players.
yeah. No, that
So
was it. Yeah,
yes,
you
I
were what?
mean that was my main focus. I think I really wanted to do the 2014 World Cup because I felt like, hey, I missed out on 2010,
Yeah,
and so I went and made the 2014 World Cup team at the time, and um, just coming after the bronze medal win in 2013 for
yeah.
sevens.
You just went out and made another World Cup team. It's just what you do. you know, whatever. and you
And then
also
we're trying to move linearly, right? We're trying to do it chronologically. My brain is a little bit all over
that's
the
all right.
place.
That's all right. You had another World Cup in 13 though.
Hmm
So I mean they all just sort of mesh together. World Cup bronze medals. Ah, ah,
Right, yes.
just someone throws a ball
Sure.
out there, you're gonna run and get it. You'll be the first to get it. That's awesome. So 2014, was it after that World Cup when you had your diagnosis with cancer?
So, great question. I found my tumor in May of 2014, I believe.
Yeah,
And the ENT at the time thought it was benign. And so they're like, hey, listen, like, go and play at the 2014 World Cup. And I also didn't know really what it meant to have a tumor. I didn't have
yeah,
anyone in my family kind of flag it. I've never had any family members with cancer or anyone in my life that really had that experience.
yeah,
And so I was like, oh yeah, like I'm young, I'm fit, I don't smoke, like I'm healthy, generally. And so who would have thought that a 26-year-old would be diagnosed with cancer, right? So I went and competed in the World Cup. I honestly can't remember any of it. Like I was so tired and fatigued,
Yeah.
and my cancer initially started out about the size of my thumbnail and grew to the size of my hand by the time the World Cup was concluded.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
it was brutal.
it's brutal, but it just makes your story so much more amazing. And I mean, it just
Thanks,
gets
John.
you. That whole and the world, because you are you. And I say that with the utmost respect. I mean, every team you went on, you were captain. You were one of the favorite players. Then this whole "With You" campaign started. And
Yeah,
it's
it was beautiful, wasn't it?
it was so good. The whole community wanted you to succeed, and you did. You beat
Yeah,
it.
and
How about
honestly, I
that?
couldn't do it without them. I don't know. It felt like when I look back on it, it feels like the impossible. I must have been like insanely delusional.
Right.
But obviously, like,
I
I
remember
think
conversations with you of, yeah, I'm just finishing up my chemo. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, I'll be making the 2016 Olympic team here in just a bit. You had the plan all set up and you went out
I
and you
did.
did it.
You
That
know,
was,
I played rugby in my head every day, right?
yeah,
I threw my jersey on my IV pole. I watched the video from, the girls around the world encouraging me. My wife at the time, Carol Fabrizio, was a huge component to my success and
yeah.
supporting me, allowing me to train full time to get back to the game. And my teammates, in Denver, my teammates across the country, right, were there for me and rooting me on, and really stepped up in a big way.
So you get this thing out of you. Boom. Okay, we're done. Let's get back into it. Talk the world through this. You've beaten cancer. It's out of your system as far as we know, and now it's focus on, now I have to go make another Olympic team.
Yeah, I think the hardest part to coming back was I had lost a bit of muscle, a bit of size, a lot of speed, and I had to rethink how I might be competitive on the Olympic level.
Yeah,
And so instead of focusing, I mean, I spent a lot of time focusing on like trying to make up some ground for what I lost. But at the end of the day, that really wasn't something that was um, I was able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. And so instead, I kind of just grieved that player I was. Because that was at the height of my career when I got sick.
yeah,
And I didn't think I could do that again to that level or that the way that I played. So I had to kind of recreate something different, a different image of me. And even though I was slower, okay, maybe I'll be the fittest one in the world. You know,
right.
maybe I can improve my aerial competitiveness and getting the ball back, and really try to focus on a couple of strengths that would differentiate me on the U.S. level as well as the global level.
So not only did you make that Olympic team, they made you captain.
Well, it's a. I think I was captain for the year of 2016. It was a unexpected um, acknowledgement. It was one that I definitely didn't want initially. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure, right? I'm
Yeah,
just coming back from treatment.
yeah.
I'm just trying to keep my head down and do my thing.
You're going,
Like,
hey,
don't give me this.
I'm kind of busy here.
Yeah. And then Kelly Griffin was the team captain for the actual Olympic Games.
Aye, okay.
But we worked in tandem throughout the year.
And how was the Olympics? I mean, walking out that second time, knowing what you've done and how what you've gone through to get there. Um, the walkout,
The
was that a
walkout.
moment?
It was exactly how I imagined it.
Awesome.
I spent so much time in cancer treatment imagining myself coming out of the tunnel,
Yeah.
imagining the players that I was playing against, who was standing next to me. And when that moment happened,
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was really cool.
And I love it. I love it that it still brings so much joy to you now.
Gosh, well, that was unexpected.
right?
Like, I usually can manage my emotions pretty well, but yeah, it was
Now,
a really,
not when
um,
you're in the With You podcast. We let it all hang out here.
oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
that's it.
No, it was a wonderful thing. I felt really happy, and I wasn't nervous at all. Because at the end of the day, like I just beat cancer, man. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna do the best I can. I had a game plan for when I made a mistake, and like I asked Kelly Griffin, I said, "Listen, when I make a mistake, Griff, I'm going to look for you. I'm going to smile. And that's going to help me stay present in the game instead of
yeah,
being devastated." And I just stuck to my plan, right? How I
that's
wanted
it.
to play, what happens when I made a mistake, and was able to move on and continue.
And all that experience we've in such a short time, we've come almost like a full circle in the playing experience. Now you are the veteran, and you're a
Hmm.
veteran that's got a lot of scar tissue going on of, hey, don't give me this, I'm a little sore, I'm not going to train 100% today. It's, you're getting out here and you're doing this because I'm doing this. So lead by example. And did you have players come to you then, the young ones come to you and ask you for advice?
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
Maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I would honestly I would walk with all the players and probably talk to them. I can't really recall one specific moment where someone was like, "Jillian, like, give me a piece of advice." But I think those conversations happen
yeah,
organically and maybe
yeah.
not so formal, where you're um, putting on your boots or you're doing the extra passes at the end of practice. You're grabbing a new teammate, a new kid, a younger kid, and
It's, yeah.
grinding out alongside them. Like those conversations come up, but um, I wouldn't say like people were flocking for my recommendations.
you, you weren't on a mountaintop with commandments or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
No,
right.
no, but you showed in your everyday work ethic, this is really what you should all be doing. And I'll this is how you are at this level, and this is why you're at this level. This is how you act. So
Right, exactly.
so your
Yeah.
your playing career, like all playing careers, they come to an end, but you're not done with rugby at all. So you get into coaching and refereeing at this point. So you're giving back to the game. What? How about that transition?
Oh man, I mean, unfortunately, the second round of cancer really derailed my um, playing career. I was really hoping to probably play through the 2018 World Cup,
Yeah,
and was like, well, obviously that's not in the cards. How can I give back to the game? And I decided to be a referee. Um, at the time, I wanted to be, one of a player to Olympic referee. Um, and I was given the opportunity to ref at some pretty high level games, had some great mentorship here in the US, and
yeah.
then was an AR at the 2018 World Cup. And that
That's
was really cool
that's it.
because
That's
I
it.
get to see all of the teammates, all of my opposition and players from around the world. And if I ref their game, I give them a big hug after. And it really made me feel included and still a part of the team and still a part of the global rugby playing community.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that's another one of these paths where for normal people it's like this, and for you, it's always like that. I mean, you started refereeing, and then just in a few years, you're doing World Cup matches as an
Well, as an AR,
But
I
still,
will say though, like it wrecked my body, and that's why, unfortunately, I had to hang up the boots in refereeing, which was unexpected. I felt like in my mind, after the second round of cancer, I was like, oh, I can just do what I did in 2016, right? Like I can beat this, come back to
right?
fitness, come back at this elite level of fitness, and it was just not in the cards. I think for the
Yeah,
first time in my life, I wasn't able to physically accomplish something that I set my mind to.
yeah.
And so that was a little bit devastating. I had to switch gears and do something else.
So, what's that realization like as a superstar athlete? You know, it's it is a realization, and
Yeah, yeah. I'm still working through that.
Well, you're still a superstar athlete, so yeah, it's going to take a while. I'm old,
No,
so I've finally have let it pass, but it
sure.
takes about 2 decades.
Yeah. No, I think like it is hard to transition away from high level sports, and um, I think now my focus is, less on accomplishing big goals and more on function and fitness and being healthy for my kids. And
Yeah.
um, like, but sometimes I entertain crazy ideas. Like I was like, I'm in the middle of cancer treatment now. Maybe I should run a marathon. Like, that seems like a good idea. And then I was like, no, that's not a good idea.
No?
What are you thinking?
Just
Can you just walk and lift some
smack.
weights and uh,
Right.
do Pilates? Like, yeah, I can do that.
Again, we're going to go back to what normal people do and what you do.
I mean, it's just all up in here, right?
Right.
Like I haven't ran in a few years, and I ran out and ran a 5K, and
Oh,
was really unhappy with my time. And so the next day, I ran another 5K, and beat my mile time by a minute. I'm not going to tell you what it was because it was not great.
you beat your mile
But I
time by a
just
minute. That's all I hear.
right, yeah. And then I couldn't walk for a few days. I'm like, okay, like maybe you start slower. Maybe it's
Right.
not a 5K. Maybe it's something else. And now that I recently moved back to Denver, the altitude certainly plays a part in how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Um, haven't had the courage to run yet, but I'll probably
Eh,
start running soon.
Right. Like right after.
Talk,
Right
talk to
after
some of
that.
the Onyx girls and be like, hey, who wants to run really slow
Yeah. Because I'll
with
pace you.
with me?
I'll pace you. So your family now, you've got kids, uh, new wife, and you're all in Denver. Did everybody move to Denver, or what's the Potter family look like now?
Right now, my co-parent Carol and I are divorced,
Okay.
but we have two kids, and we moved to Denver as a divorced family because we value, the outdoors, adventure, and being back in the mountains. It was something that we always missed, and
Yeah,
so together we decided we wanted to raise our kids in a place that we loved.
that's awesome. And how old are the kids?
My youngest is 2. She turns 3 in July, and August is turning 7 in October.
So they're just getting ready to start their athletic careers. Is August into anything yet?
Skateboarding.
That's it. That's it. Dear
Uh,
tree, dear tree, I have not fallen far from you. Love Apple.
totally.
Yeah.
I got him shredding on the mountain just last spring break, and that was really
Nice.
fun to see. Jojo is more inclined to dance and sing and stuff
Well,
like
yeah.
that, and play soccer, and we'll see. I mean, like, I'm not the kind of parent, and neither really is Carol, to specialize our kids
No.
in sports when they're young. And so it's like, hey, what do you want to pick up? What do you want to try? You want to rock climb, hike, mountain bike, like snowboard, skateboard,
Do them
that
all at
way, like
once.
all of
Do it,
them. Yeah, you just do it.
take your mountain bike to the skate park and drop in. I mean, invent a sport.
Totally.
you
Yeah,
know,
do you?
do you? You also got a RAND scholarship from Rugby America's North. What was that all about?
Oh, man, that was one of the coolest things that was available through World Rugby. And I applied for the scholarship really to gain some off-field knowledge on if I wanted to be a board member for USA Rugby or any rugby organization, general leadership skills. I think leadership shows up in sport in a particular way, but I think there's always an opportunity to be a better leader. And I
Yeah,
wanted to kind of redefine or rehone, some of those skills to show up differently and to interact with those peers that I might need to at their level, right?
yeah,
And so I went through and did that, and used that money for education and leadership experiences.
cool. Well, I mean, again, you're always learning and you're always evolving. That's one of the things we love about you. One of the many things
Yes, you
we love
have
about
to.
you. Absolutely.
Can't stop.
Why? No reason.
No.
The old,
Mm-mm.
I'm immortal until someone proves me differently, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
I've done this like, so many times with my cancer treatment. It's like, I'm living life hard. I don't care.
Right. That's it. Get out of the way. Hey, wrapping up here again, I want to remind everybody that in 6 weeks ish, be in Washington, D.C. It's a huge rugby weekend here in America. July 17th is the 50th anniversary of USA Rugby. July 18th, the Friday, Hall of Fame, presented by Major League Rugby, where we will be inducting Jillion Potter, among others, in the class of 2025. And then on the Saturday's Rugby Day, July 19th, the men play England and the women play Fiji. It's going to be huge. And again, a heartfelt thank you, Jillion, for making time today. We love getting to know you better.
Oh, John, it was so fun. And for all that are listening and watching, I hope I see you in DC.
You got it. We'll be seeing you soon.
See you soon.